Devil fruits were the first power system introduced into One Piece. Once you find this fruit, you give up a huge aspect of life, especially in One Piece, for what could be one of the best powers you could ever imagine. And in today's video, let's find out which devil fruit is the greatest of all of them. What's up guys, Versus Gambler here, and in today's video, we'll be going over the best devil fruits in One Piece and finding out which one takes the title of GOAT. What do y'all think is the best devil fruit? Comment it down below before we start to see if we think the same. Anyways, if you enjoy One Piece content like this, go ahead and subscribe. You'll get more videos and we'll both be happy. Before going into any devil fruits, we first have to establish the criteria to which we distinguish the best of the best. I made a community post a very long time ago in order to get you guys' opinions, and a majority of you guys said versatility. Versatility would be referring to the devil fruit's ability to be used in different situations. Say in combat, we've got offense and defense, but then we got things like recovery. So with that in mind, for a devil fruit to be the best, it has to have the best versatility score. We'll make this into 4 different categories. Power. How much can this devil fruit destroy or do damage to different things? Attack. How much does this devil fruit allow for different kinds of attacks? Kinds of hacks can fall into this as well. Then we have defense. How much can this devil fruit help you tank or even avoid damage? Devil fruits that can transform you into something else can get a higher score than others. And finally, the dark horse of the 4, drawbacks. How easily can this devil fruit be a burden to you, and how easily can it be countered? Also, is this a devil fruit that is fully accessible to someone who just got it? The final versatility score will be calculated by rating all 4 categories by 10, then adding up the first 3, power, attack, and defense. Then after that, we'll deduct points for drawbacks, and then we'll divide it by 3 to find out the final versatility score for that devil fruit. Gambler, which devil fruits will you use? I asked my guys Tag That MP4, Lilo's Adventure, Superior IQ, and Soba Kick what the 10 best devil fruits are. I then made a score for all of them. It was a total of 19 different devil fruits, because some of them were repeats. If there's something you think I missed, blame it on them, not me. Anyways, I'm about to present to you guys the top 10 of the top 10. Whatever bro, just enjoy the video. For our honorable mentions, we have the devil fruits that landed in 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th place. At number 14, we had Akainu's devil fruit, the Magu Magu no Mi, scoring a total of 4.6 versatility points. This devil fruit had the highest in power, having shared a 10 score with our number 13, which we'll go into in a second. This is because it is stated to have the best offensive power of all devil fruits, so of course it scored high in that regard. But that's as far as it goes, as the fruit only really allows for big punches, and for defense there really wasn't much to give since it just has regular Loge abilities. Despite this, the thing that really held it back was his drawbacks, because just like a certain devil fruit we'll go into later, magma can cause collateral damage and friendly fire. Of course, Akainu doesn't really care because he's Akainu, but anyone else, and this may be a burden. At the 13th spot, we have Wiper's devil fruit, the Gura Gura no Mi. This, as I said, scored a 10 along with Akainu's devil fruit because it's stated to have the capabilities of destroying the world. The attack score was better than Akainu's, however, because we see Wiper channel the shockwaves to his weapons and other body parts. However, unlike Akainu, Wiper has almost no defensive abilities, the only one being able to exit ice. That's why it's tied with Akainu at a score of 4.6. At the 12th place, we've got Aokiji's devil fruit, the Hiei Hiei no Mi. This scored higher than the previous 2 because while clearly it lacks their power, it offers more versatility attack wise and less drawbacks than Akainu's fruit, and more defensive capabilities than Wiper's fruit. It sat at a score of 5.3. At the 11th spot, I can already hear Tag losing his mind. We've got Magellan's fruit, the Doku Doku no Mi. This fruit never really moved me, but on second thought, it definitely has one of the most lethal attacks ever. The power of it isn't all that, and Luffy got through his poison with a bunch of candle wax. It earned a score of 6. But now, let's enter the top 10. Starting off at number 10, we've got Ace's fruit, the Flare Flare no Mi. For power, I had to give this fruit an easy 9 out of 10. I advise you guys to go and read the Ace novels because the extent to which Ace used his devil fruit was definitely one to be reckoned with. Ace was able to blast Wiper's weapon out of his hands with it alone and cancel out Aokiji's ice pheasant. Sabo holds the devil fruit right now as well, and he will for sure cook something in the future for us. For attack versatility, I gave this devil fruit a cool 8 out of 10. Of course, Ace's Devil Fruit all stacks up to burning attacks, but Ace's creativity is what puts this over someone like Whitebeard's. We've seen Ace use it to create mini fireflies that explode into fires, send mini flames like a gun, and narrow it down doing whatever this hand sign is. On top of all this, the fruit is able to be channeled into weapons like we see Sabo doing. For defense, I gave it a 5 because even though it's just a regular Logia, that fact by itself warrants it a 5. And finally, for drawbacks, I gave the Devil Fruit a 9, mostly because of the collateral damage that can be made, as well as how hard it might be when you first get it. Ace's Fruit ended up with a score of 6 out of 10, barely breaking into the top 10. At number 9, we've got the Pawpaw Fruit, whose owner is none other than Kuma. I think this Devil Fruit earned its place here and definitely goes under the radar for most people, so let's go over what scores led to its place on this list. For attack power, I decided to give this Devil Fruit a score of 8. Now, while pre-time skip Straw Hats were able to tank them, I think we can all assume and chalk it up to plot convenience. Kuma's actual shocks destroy fleets of marine ships and set an entire half of an island to fire because of his destructive capabilities. Now, while I'm not under the assumption that Kuma is some kind of top tier, you do have to process how strong Kuma's blasts are and how strong they can be if Kuma needs it to be. For attack versatility, I have Kuma at a 6. I think this should have been very obvious. I mean, what else other than Paw Shock do you get from this fruit? It's not as bad as a Kanu's score of 4, however, because Kuma can do all this shocking but can do insane things hacks wise. Kuma himself isn't so cruel that he would, but he has the ability to turn you into a vegetable if he so desires it. He can also send you across the planet if he wants to. That's what pushed his attack score higher, but it isn't so versatile that I can give it more than a 6. For defense, Kuma scored a very impressive 9 out of 10. I think this isn't up for debate. With his Devil Fruit, he can literally teleport. But it doesn't even stop there because he can also heal himself whenever he wants to. The verse was lucky that Kuma got this fruit because he had the potential to become an immortal monster. The reason Kuma didn't get a 10 in this stat despite all these abilities, however, is because of a heavy drawback. When you release pain from someone, in this case Kuma himself, if it isn't dealt with by someone else, it will go straight back to the original source. This is what separates Kuma's Devil Fruit from an all-time great that we'll go over later. Had this not been the case, Kuma would have scored higher, but we had to give it a drawback score of 4 for that. Calculating everything together, however, Kuma gets a score of 6.3. Not bad for a piece of metal. At number 8, we've got Green Bull's Devil Fruit, the Mori Mori no Mi. I can't lie, I was the one who put this guy in the pool of Devil Fruits. I'm tired of y'all disrespecting. I'm tired of y'all disrespecting this guy. For power, I gave my guy Green Bull a 9.
Hell, get off that nigga dick, bro. What is you doing?
What? No, you right. I was dick riding.
That's what I'm saying, bro. You gotta calm down with that shit.
Yeah, my fault, my fault.
Alright, hold on. We see how impactful Green Bull, like all other admirals, are with their Devil Fruits. But beyond even just collateral damage, Green Bull also stabbed King. Given it was his flames off, but this is still a better feat than anything Kuma has done. And I gave that guy an 8. Y'all gotta realize each admiral is a 9 or above in power for the Devil Fruits. It's how they are. For attack versatility, I gave Green Bull a 7. He suffers from the same kind of thing as Kuma, but he's a little bit better. He doesn't have much other than grab and stab, but his hacks, yeah, that's good eats. Green Bull drains you of your energy, so if you're impaled, consider the fight finished. I also think it might not be out of the possibility for Green Bull to heal himself by taking someone else's health. That part is headcanon, but take that as you will. For defense, I gave Logia an 8. On top of being a Logia, Green Bull is the only guy from my memory who can literally spawn another version of himself after getting hit. When Momo hit him with Blast Breath, Green Bull escaped his body and regrew himself from a single sapling. He also has heat resistance to a certain extent, but that's Green Bull's use of it. The emphasis is because I had to give Green Bull a 4 in drawbacks. If a random person picks his Devil Fruit up, I don't think they just automatically know how to resist going against flames like Green Bull can. That leads to a very obvious weakness and a counter to the Devil Fruit, warranting it a little deduction to its overall score. With that said, Green Bull earned a score of 6.6 in the end. At number 7, we've got Big Mom's Fruit, the Soru Soru no Mi. That's not crazy, right? Right? For attack power, I gave Big Mom a clear 9. She's a Yonko after all, and her dumbass be forgetting she has Kankosaki, so her attack power is all attributed to her Devil Fruit. She literally has the capacity of creating an army of lethal weapons at her disposal because of it, but we're talking about her main 4 creations. These 4 are insane, or at least we're supposed to believe they are. I'm gonna let y'all just think about that real quick. For attack versatility, that was the easiest 10 out of 10 in this entire list. Big Mom is literally a swordsman because of this devil fruit, has lightning powers, fire powers, and has the potential to have even more. On top of all this, Big Mom has one of the most potent attacks in the entire series, being able to literally take your soul out. For defense, I gave this devil fruit a 5. From what we've seen, I might as well have given it a 0, but the devil fruit itself has the potential to make an army that guards you from harm's way. Big Mom is just stupid and way too tanky, that's why it's so underutilized that way. Despite all these high scores, I gave Big Mom a 5 in drawbacks because along with giving things part of your soul, they become sentient beings with their own thoughts and agendas. Zeus literally betrayed Big Mom for some Scooby snacks. That's a hell of a drawback. Big Mom's fruit ended up getting a 6.3 out of 10. At number 6, we've got something rather surprising. We've got Fujitora's fruit, the Zushi no Mi. This came completely out of left field, I won't lie, but let's get into the stats. I gave this devil fruit a 9 in power. I already said this before, but all admirals are a 9 and above in power. But the reasoning behind the 9 is the insane things Fujitora just does casually. As a warm-up, Fujitora brings down a couple meteors to the vicinity. So next thing you know, Fujitora makes all the rubble of an entire island float above you. This is a feat like no other. Kid wishes he could use something. Alright, so let me stop slandering Kid, bro. Like, for attack versatility, I gave it a 7. Fujitora can do some creative things like bring down meteors, but that's about it, to be honest. He can channel and send gravity through his sword as well, and he can send gravity in bizarre ways. He sent someone sideways with sideways gravity. How's that even possible? For defense, I gave this devil fruit a 6. It's a pure Mesia, so it doesn't have the automatic 5 that Logias do, but Fujitora is able to fly on top of things with his gravity, and he also has the potential to create a force field with it like Kenjaku does. But for drawbacks, I gave it a 2 because while Fujitora might use the devil fruit like a dumbass, any logical person who picks this fruit up isn't doing what Fujitora does. The meteors Fujitora use are almost always for no reason, and they always have collateral damage because of it. Other than that, I can't really think of a reason to give it more drawback points. With that in mind, Fujitora's fruit ended up at a cool 6.6 out of 10. At number 5, oh no, I can already hear it. At number 5, fuck! At number 5, we have Luffy's devil fruit, the Nika no Mi. Alright, hear me out. Luffy's devil fruit most definitely can be the greatest of all time, but we've got to get into the nitty gritty with the stats. For power, I gave this the easiest 10 out of 10. Baharan Gun, even though being something that Luffy can really only access in its awakening form, is by far one of the strongest punches in the entire series. And even before awakening, his punches and attacks in Gear 4 were easily of Yonko caliber as well. I don't think anyone would disagree and say this devil fruit isn't deserving of one of the highest power ratings. For attack versatility, this was the only devil fruit I think warranted an 11 out of 10 in any single stat. Luffy's devil fruit is verbatim stated to allow him to do anything he imagines. We've seen Luffy make pizza out of people. We've seen him make a weapon out of a random tree. And Luffy can do a whole lot more if he so chooses to. This is the only devil fruit with such a wide variety of possible attacks, and so an 11 out of 10 doesn't even sound that bad. The Nika fruit also got an 8 out of 10 in defense for me because of multiple things. 1, it's a mythical zone, so they have higher recovery time than other fruits. 2, by having this devil fruit alone, you're completely immune to blunt attacks. And 3, at its max potential, it allows you to manipulate matter around you to defend yourself, and it also allows Luffy to avoid damage in wacky ways. However, his drawback score is as high as his defense score. First off, when you get this devil fruit, you can't even throw a punch, and you have to train in order to do so. And to reach the devil fruit's maximum capacity, you risk falling over and rotting to death after the use of it. To be honest, this may be the worst devil fruit on here to start off with because of how inaccessible it is to new users. Luffy's devil fruit, however, ended up with a 7 out of 10. At number 4, we've definitely got the most biased placement here. Marco's devil fruit, the Tori no Mi. This is my personal favorite devil fruit in the entire series. It's just so visually pleasing. But let's go over his stats. For power, the devil fruit earned an underwhelming 6 out of 10. Marco's not really a heavy hitter, While he does have Duraneg like Phoenix brand and is able to kick around admirals off guard, they don't really do any lasting damage, like ever. Just as underwhelming as his power is, his attack versatility is. I gave this a 7 out of 10 because the Dough Fruit does allow for a lot of accelerated kicking attacks and Duraneg via shockwaves, but that's really about it. Marco's Dough Fruit isn't really offensive based. It's funny I say this because Marco's Fruit scores the first ever 10 out of 10 in defense. I'm not hearing any disagreements with this. Marco has the best sail feeling in the entire verse without having to transfer it like Kuma. He becomes hella fast because of the Dough Fruit, he can fly, he can heal others, and he's also one of the only people in the entire verse who have a literal defensive attack where he can cancel out Kaido's blast breath and Kizaru's lasers. This was the easiest 10 out of 10 so far. And for drawbacks, I gave this Dough Fruit a 2 out of 10. The only flaw I can see with this Dough Fruit is maybe people not being able to utilize it to its greatest capabilities when they first get it. Marco's Dough Fruit ended up with a 7, tying with Luffy's. Now we enter the top 3 and I have a strong feeling you guys can guess what they are. At number 3 we've got Kizaru's Dough Fruit, the Pika Pika no Mi. Comment down below if you saw this coming because I for sure did when I saw the pool of Dough Fruits. For power, as I've said for the past 1000 years, all the admirals are 9+, and I gave Kizaru a 9. This is also an extreme lowball because there's literally nothing stopping Kizaru from making clones who can make their own clones who can shoot laser beams all at the same time. I wouldn't give him the 10 because such a concept would have been too broken for Oda to implement. For attack versatility, Kizaru earned a whopping 9 out of 10. Kizaru can make a sword out of his Dough Fruit, something only replicated by Luffy and Aokiji. He can shoot concentrated beams at you, he can spread them out, he can make clones of himself, he can kick you at light speed, he can box with you at light speed. There's literally too much to offer with this Dough Fruit attack wise. For defense, of course, Kizaru got a 9. He's the fastest in the verse, and on top of that, he's a Logia. I literally don't think you're beating that unless you're Marco. And finally, for drawbacks, I gave Kizaru a 3. Kizaru has 2 weaknesses. 1, he can only project himself at light speed in a straight line, and 2, Sanji. Kizaru's fruit totaled up to a score of 8 out of 10. At number 2 we've got Ano's fruit, the Goro Goro no Mi. This was just so obviously going to be in the top 3, so let's go over its stats. For power, I gave this a grand 10 out of 10. This is one of the only devil fruits in the entire series to be so powerful it was going to destroy an entire island casually. Ano dropped this beast of a named attack and still wasn't finished because he had another form on top of that, meaning it would be even stronger than what he said. For attack versatility, however, I gave it a 6 because even though it has versatilities in the kinds of attacks thrown, it's all the same thing, a bunch of lightning shocking people. Kizaru's at least has different effects. For defense, Ano's fruit got a 9 out of 10 because just like Kizaru's, you get super fast but also the Logi attacks as well. And the Dough Fruit got 1 drawback point because just like Kizaru, Ano's weakness was a straw hat. This all added up to give Ano's fruit a final score of 8, tied with Kizaru. And at number 1, we have the Ope Ope no Mi, whose owner is Law. If the last 2 were obvious, I don't know what to call this one. The Ope Ope no Mi was literally priced at a whopping 5 billion berries. And this means the Dough Fruit itself would sell more than Kaido. This Dough Fruit would sell more than Big Mom. This Dough Fruit would sell more than Shanks. It's the obvious top 1, so let's go over its stats. For power, I gave this a 9. It clashed with an unawakened Quake Fruit in its awakened state. It also damaged Big Mom and Kaido, so I don't think a score lower than that is appropriate. For attack versatility, I also gave this Dough Fruit a 9. You have a wide variety of attacks. You can shock people, you can take their hearts out, you can take apart their limbs, you can explode from inside, you can literally switch people's personalities. This Dough Fruit is insane. For defense, Law's Fruit also got a 9. You can teleport just like Kuma, you can heal yourself without transferring it like Kuma, you can heal other people, but it's definitely not on Marco's level, however, because it doesn't have the actual defensive ability Marco's fruit does. And there's only 1 drawback point because you need to be a doctor to use it to its max capacity. Law's Devil Fruit earned its number 1 spot with a total of 8 versatility points out of 10. But what did you guys think? This video was meant to be like 10 minutes, but clearly it wasn't. For my extra hard work though, do me a favor. Subscribe. No, don't click off the video. Stop.